Hi, once again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Gun on One. It is powered by the Inside the Birds Network. I'm Derrick Gunn. Of course, the Eagles on a bye week, and man, did they need this bye week after their last game, and of course, with all the injuries they have. Now they rest up, refocus, retool, and get ready for their upcoming game against the Cleveland Browns. Since this is the bye week, I wanted to do something a little different, just get away from the X's and O's. So I reached out to one of my all-time favorite Eagles and a good friend of mine, former Eagles first-round pick from 2002, two-time Pro Bowler, All-Pro as well. Cornerback Lito Sheppard, man, it has been a long time, my brother. How you been, man?
Hey, man, it's been awesome. It's been great. Thanks for having me as well. But it's been an amazing journey, just the transitioning and just living life now after football and kids, man, so I got some big kids growing up. So it's been an amazing journey.
Before we get to football, I have to ask you, with this incredible Hurricane Milton coming your way, are you where you live in the path of this hurricane?
Well, the whole state is just still recovering from, a couple weeks ago. We just had that the hurricane Helena, was it? Helena. And so this storm here is really kind of putting a lot of people back in the binds. They're still trying to recover from, previous. But fortunate enough for us here in Jacksonville, we're going to get some wins, but I don't think we're going to get the bulk of, the storm damages right now.
Well, praying for you and your family that you stay out of harm's way, and of course for all the people in Florida down there, because supposedly this thing is going to be devastating again. So,
yeah, prayers goes out to everybody who's going to be affected. I'll tell you that.
Well, I got you on here to talk Eagles and to catch up with you as well. And back here, man, we can't figure out these 2-2 Eagles, man. We thought by now they would have an identity, so to speak. So what have you seen of these Eagles in terms of being so inconsistent this year?
Yeah, and I'm gonna start by saying I bleed Eagle green, and it's just been it's one of those things from the outside looking in where you see all the talent, you see the guys have the abilities, and for whatever reasons, it's just not necessarily coming together. I was really excited about this year, considering, this is, coming off of a somewhat disappointing year in my, expectations for them, especially the way they did so well the first year they were together, just attacking downfield, making plays. And I think, the past year or two, they've gotten away from some of those type play calls. Mm-hmm. And, I don't know if it's, this guy or that guy, but I wish that if they want to get back to, winning big, they got to hit those, downfield passes. They got to attack, and they got the players to do it. But I don't think we've been attacking, in my perspective.
Mm-hmm. After your 2005 season, you played on some teams that got off to some slow starts, but then you guys would pick up steam. Do you think this team is capable of riding the ship and picking up some steam?
Oh, of course. I mean, a win is a win. Let's start with that. And the 2-2, obviously we let one or two, the two losses, we let those go, and they should have been wins. But when you can grind out victories, that's what really matters. Now, obviously you have a lot of things you can work on and get better at throughout the year, and that's what we all hope that they're gonna do. But getting those tough wins when you're not playing well is very important. So they got a lot of guys that's been hurt. Both receivers have been, banged up or whatnot. Obviously, Saquon has stepped in and done an amazing job, and he's going to have to continue to do that. But they're going to need some help. And I think once all the guys get back and things start to gel, man, I just want to see them out there having fun and enjoying it. It doesn't have to be this stressful.
I hate to say this, but this defense has been labeled soft coverage, missing tackles, so on and so forth. You played on some solid defenses. How frustrating is it to hear that this organization has considered what is a soft defense?
Well, I'm gonna blame that on a couple of different things. Obviously, coaching staff and the nature of that identity plays a big role. then the subtle changes in the league rules and how they want guys to play the game, I think a combination of a couple of those things have really just made some of the guys a little soft. And they're making business decisions these days a little bit more than normal. And I just think it's a culture that's transitioning into the league. I think the game is going to get soft and continue to get softer as the players adapt to this new wave of the game. But as far as being aggressive and getting guys to want to make these plays, I mean, that's just, scouting and bringing in the right type of guys and the right type of mentalities. Because, guys are making business decisions these days, and, it's affecting plays out there.
You played for the man, Jim Johnson, who preached an aggressive style of defense. You look at the current defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, they only blitz like 22% of their snaps, man. What do you think about his approach to defense in terms of putting pressure on quarterback, considering, nowadays, man, you can't let these QB just stand back there and pat the ball all day because they will find somebody open.
Yeah, I mean, they're too good these days. And anytime you allow a quarterback to stand back there with no pressure, I mean, that's 7-on-7. And, a lot of them are going to complete 75% of the passes in that predicament. But, when you look at the aggressive natures of the defenses throughout the years, and even the coaches that were under tutorage of some of those great defensive coordinators, and now they're D coordinators themselves and or head coaches, you see you see how good those teams are compared to some others, basically. Yep. And you see the culture that continues to thrive in those environments. So I was just watching, the Kansas City Chiefs the other night, and when Coach Spagnuolo, he still have one of the top defenses because of his mentality, but also he's bringing in the guys that he can specify to make these type of plays. Yep. So he's gonna always have success by being aggressive and pinpointing guys that really affect making plays. I mean, we had a number of them in Philadelphia, and the coaching staff was able to put each guy in a position to utilize their skill set. So I don't think we're getting enough of that these days. D coordinators aren't necessarily catering to different guys. They just want guys to come in and make their system work in a sense. So that's a little different, I think, but I think you're going to get what you put into it.
Hey, how much do you still think about Jim? May he rest in peace.
All the time, honestly, just for what he did to my career. And, I'm very proud of my career, whatever that may look like in other people's eyes. But I know my growth came through his tutorage and his teachings of how to play football, how to be aggressive and, just understanding that aspect of the game. And I just know, and I've seen it throughout my career. When I was under his tutelage, I mean, my game was at a very high level. And just looking back at that and just paying homage to that, I mean, I don't think I could have been nowhere near the player I would have or I was if I wouldn't have played up under him and his understandings.
You played on the back end of defenses with guys like Doc, Sheldon Brown, Mike Lewis. How frustrating has it been to see how this Eagles organization has basically undervalued players on the back end of the defenses and compared to what you played with in your day?
I think you don't realize what you're missing until certain things are gone, in a sense. Yeah. And I think, the Eagles were a little spoiled for a number of years on the back end of things. And, it started with Troy and Bobby and Dog and those guys being able to set a tone. And then myself, Sheldon, and Mike coming in and helping continue that type of pedigree. I think they got spoiled within those two generations. And we saw it even when I started, when I got traded and, when they brought in other guys or whatnot. And that's when the culture and the nature really kind of started to transition. And I don't think they value what they had and the way we were doing things at that time. But now we see those type of players are type of players that played selfless football, played for the team, played to make everybody around them better. We wasn't selfish players, and I think that's that day and age is really gone.
Do you still keep in touch with those guys, Sheldon, Doc, Mike Lewis, any of them?
I reach out every now and then, but we don't all communicate as often as maybe we should. But it's no lost love. Social media is still there. You're still seeing guys doing well, and I think that's vice versa. So, it's all in good love and appreciation to those guys. But we don't talk as much, man. Everybody's kind of just doing their own things.
Yeah, I got a history question for you here now, or a statement. Until the Eagles drafted Quinyon Mitchell in the first round, cornerback this year, it had been 22 years since the Eagles drafted a cornerback in the first round. Some guy named Lito Sheppard was the last cornerback they drafted in the first round. Are you surprised that they basically neglected that position all these years? When you look at all these elite wide receivers and all these other teams seem to be trying to find that next great cornerback to be able to run with these receivers nowadays?
Well, no, because honestly, just like how you see the receivers out there becoming big names, they're doing that by making plays. They're doing that by what they put on the field. Yeah. So I'm not surprised, because at the end of the day, it's only a certain small amount of corners that put themselves in that limelight. Mm-hmm. So, you can be a solid cover guy, a solid, tackler and this and that. But if you're not doing anything special, you're just gonna get washed in the bunch with everybody else. Yeah. You have to be a game changer. You have to think, eat, sleep, turnovers. And if you're not intercepting the ball, making strips, fumbles, you have to separate yourself from the norm. And I think the guys that do that, get their name called first. And I don't think there have been very many playmakers at that position. Obviously, you have, Surtain Jr. is one of the recent young guys who's just been blowing it up out there, but he's doing it by making plays, So I think until we get more playmakers, I think the guys are still just gonna have to get it in how they fit.
What's your general thought on more NFL defenses now seem to be playing two deep coverages and more disguises than anything else in today's game?
Well, it's keeping guys safe. I mean, it's I don't know one defense that sticks to the man concept or the quarter concept. Like, Philly, when we were in Philly, we were a quarter/man blitzing team. Meaning more than 50-60%, we're going to be on an individual island at some point by ourselves. Yeah. I don't think teams believe in their guys like that these days, and or they're trying to protect them. They're paying them more money, but giving them less responsibility. Let's call it that.
That's a good analogy. I like that. Hey, look, do you wish you were playing in today's game? You talked about the money, but you only can have like 14 contact practices and training camps now. You only practice like an hour and a half. Compared to what Andy Reid put you guys through, do you wish you were a little bit younger to play today's game?
Well, I'll say this. Even when I retired, I felt like I still had a number of years. But injuries definitely affect things. I'll say that. But I honestly appreciated our practice regimen. I didn't think it was anything abnormally tough, other than just putting in good work. And that's why even now I say that guys are being babied. I understand the contact aspect of things, but the way a coach coaches and the amount of time he's on the field, that's just football. So, I think I'd have played longer, yes, now, but, I appreciated putting in the work, and just fortunate enough, none of my injuries came at practices, So, it's just one of those things to where you got to learn how to practice too. And when you practice fast and aggressive, without hurting each other, it translates to that same type of, product on the field.
Hey, what young cornerbacks cornerbacks in general, do you keep close eye on in today's game?
Honestly, not a lot of them. And the reason I mentioned Surtain is, is just seeing the plays and the highlights that he's making and creating. And, when you don't have to go search for guys and you find them, then you know they're doing something well. It's real hard to critique guys these days when you don't actually watch them like that on a film by film breakdown basis. So I try to reserve from judgment, but at the end of the day, you just got to make plays out there and make them against top receivers, top guys, and the top moments of the game. And I think that's just what kind of separates it. But, they throw some guys' names out there, but I don't see anybody playing the game like we did, so it's hard to appreciate certain things in my perspective.
Hey, speaking of receivers, back in the day when you played with Donovan McNabb, man, you guys never really had an elite pass catcher except maybe 1 year with T.O. Now you look at this team, they have 2 elite pass catchers, and A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, man. How times have changed, huh?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that too, though, because we talk about the defense and the corners in this situation. Yeah. Well, they got 2-3 really good guys in practice every day that they should be getting better with.
Yeah.
Because I look at that and I use that time when I was able to play with T.O., and I still give that a lot of credit to this day that he helped us get better on a day-to-day basis by what he brought to the table as an elite receiver. And I don't think these guys are really appreciating the talent that they play with these days enough. But those are battles that you have to do every day to get to the next levels. And, with AJ and Devontae, I mean, I would be me and Sheldon would be sticking those guys every day. Put it like that. Every day.
Hey, when you made a big play in a game, they would always play the song Lito by Boss Skaggs. What did that mean to you, man? Did that get you even more jacked up?
It was appreciation. I remember when, Chris Berman tagged me with that song on draft day, and it was so fortunate to have it follow me and become a positive representation of me doing some good things on the field. And the city embraced it. And man, even to this day, they go crazy about it. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the love. I just, it's very humbling too, to have something iconic like a song to carry you through time in a sense. And it's just appreciative, man. I'm not getting any royalties off of it, but but at the end of the day, it's just one of those things that I appreciate that I've been recognized, and people continue to appreciate and recognize me for what I've done and link to it.
Hey, man, your team in 2004, you get to the Super Bowl, you eventually lose to the New England Patriots in a game that you guys had the lead in. As you look back now, what's your perspective on how hard it is? Just like the Eagles lost a couple of years ago against Kansas City when they had the lead. What's your perspective on not only how hard it is to get there, but you better take advantage of that opportunity when you get that moment?
Yeah, I still think to this day that it was supposed to be destiny for us to win that Super Bowl. But we see that it just works that way. But I've been fortunate enough to play in the Super Bowl, and unfortunately, I played in 5 championship games, if I'm not mistaken. And each time, you always think that we're gonna get back. And sooner or later, you see, I'm here and my career's over, and I'm not playing anymore. But those are all cherishable moments that you definitely wish you could, go back in time and try to do something that you didn't know to do the first time, but it doesn't work that way. And I just look back at it and be like, dang, I'm appreciative to have those experiences, but man, I just wish I could have did this or did that on the field, not in preparation. Because you give it all, you do your best at those times, but I guess hindsight, looking at how things turned out, you'd be like, hey, I want to change this. I want to change that.
When you look back and you talked about the championship games that you guys were in, why do you think that group of Eagles fell short and not made more Super Bowl appearances, man? Because it was right there for you guys.
Yeah. It's hard to go back and say those reasons. And just like I'm nitpicking at how I want our team now offensively to be more aggressive and attack. Well, I mean, they could have probably said some of those same things about us. You know, that we wasn't aggressive enough on offense, or we didn't take these amount of chances, or this, you know, however it was, or even on defense. I mean, a lot of those games, you know, I can remember 1 or 2 games we lost without even giving up a touchdown. But at the end of the day, you know, it's tough when you're still a part of a team and you only can do what you can do. So you just have to, you know, just take it for what it's worth. But you just want to try to capitalize and cherish every moment from, you know, that you're in.
Hey, does losing that game to Tampa Bay still stick in your craw a little bit? I mean, you had them right where you want them. You had them in minus under 32-degree weather. They never won in cold weather. Can you still see Rondé Barber running down the field with that interception?
Listen, I tell people this to this day. I say, how do you lose a game without giving up a touchdown? Offensive touchdown, should I say? Yeah. And man, you know, just, you know, obviously it shows that, you know, that team, the Tampa team, was that good on defense, and you know those players were that great, and you know just excuse me, but yeah, I still have visions of you know Rondé running down 2 touchdowns and like man, like man, I wish I could have done that for my team.
Hey, give me a Lito Sheppard moment with the Eagles that you will never forget.
Okay, so you know, one of my things that I've always took pride in, and just even to this day with every organization I've been a part of, you know, we can thrive on individual accomplishments all day, but my whole thing is I just want to be remembered. And the things that I did and I do, I hope they are staples and monuments that can last throughout time. Okay. And when you talk about certain plays, you know, those 200-yard interception returns that I have, you know, they're in the Guinness World Records. They're in the NFL history. You know, I was the first person NFL player to do those things. Obviously, I'm you know, got a partner now, Ed Reed there. Yeah. But those things should last through time. And, you know, we could talk about if I'm Hall of Fame worthy or whatever you want to say, however, but what I did, you can't take away. And the all-pro first nod I made, the 2 Pro Bowls, those things are going to be in history. So, you know, I'm proud of my statements and my body of work. And I just wanted to do well enough to always be remembered. And, you know, I think I've done that from on the field standpoint, and I'm continuously trying to incorporate that in my life moving forward, you know, just making statements with my kids and just the things that I'm able to leave as a legacy for myself moving forward. And, you know, I just look back from high school, I was able to solidify some records in that aspect. College, I was able to do the same thing, and just in the NFL. So just looking at it from that standpoint, you know, I just wanted to try to do well enough to always be remembered, you know.
Yeah. When you look back on your career also, do you think you're Hall of Fame worthy?
I'll be honest with you. I put a criteria on the Hall of Fame, and I didn't meet that criteria.
Okay.
But I also look at a lot of other guys who didn't meet it and end up working their way into that fold. You know, obviously you have to, you know, be one of the best guys on your team and lead organizations in that aspect, and which I don't know where I, you know, fit in the Eagles organization, but hey, I'm not a part of the Ring of Honor, so I don't know if I'm even going to get to those levels or whatnot. But, you know, that doesn't bother me here or there. Obviously, it's a respected, you know, accomplishment. And obviously, I do feel like I am one of the best Eagles that played the position. But that's not for me to, you know, judge or feel a certain way. other than just being appreciative to be, talked about in the conversation. But it's one of those things. Hey, if it happens, I'll definitely be appreciative and blessed about it.
Yeah.
But if it don't, I can still talk smack, with some of those guys that are in there who I whoop their behinds. So it's just one of those things.
Hey, what's it like for you to see some of your former coaches and teammates still coaching in the NFL? Andy Reid, Spagnuolo, Harbaugh, Todd Pinkston, Al Harris, Dukes. Don't say Al Harris because he's coaching with Dallas. But what's it like to see some of those guys coaching in the NFL?
I think it's awesome, and it's pretty cool. I look at it as value because, we're needed. We have a lot to give back to the game.
Yeah.
And when you have that opportunity, I mean, it's just a link, a door that could possibly continue to be filtered, with positive vibes. Mm-hmm. So, those are awesome, teammates. And I'm just glad that they're in positions to possibly help people,
Why aren't you coaching in the NFL?
That's a great question. One day maybe I will venture in that path. I do continue to coach and do things at smaller levels. But the main reason is just having kids and young boys growing up through certain times. I wanted to focus on getting them in a certain place before I committed to just being away all the time in that manner. I have my last guy now, he's 14, so once we kind of get through these next 4 or 5 years, I think maybe if an opportunity presents itself, I'll definitely consider that, whatnot. But I've coached a number of guys throughout my son's eras that are now in college, a number of colleges that I still stay in contact with, that I still do some training with. And, that's enlightening for me because I see their growth. I see what I'm capable of doing. And I'm not having to, self-advertise things right now. That's not the type of pressure I'm looking for. I just want to continue to refine my skills and my craft on what I can bring to the table. And, just God willing, if that opportunity come, we'll see where it goes. But, right now I'm just honing in on a craft and trying to adapt to the different generations and styles of that. But I just haven't honestly actively put my name out there yet. And, if I did that, then maybe an opportunity will come about, but who knows?
Hey, when I talk to a lot of your former teammates, and I still talk to, guys like Hugh Douglas, Ike Reese, all these guys a lot, even Dalton, they said, man, I couldn't coach today's player, man. You need 53 psychologists to coach today's player. The mindset, and you said you coach some of these young men.
Yeah.
You think about the way you were coached coming up through college and the pros. Can you use that same approach? Do you use that same approach with today's players? And you talked about adapting, or do you have to adapt the way you coach them? Because this generation is a whole lot different than when you were coming up, man.
Yeah. Honestly, I use exactly what was given to me.
Okay.
Now, obviously, we have to maybe take some of the spice out of some things, but real is real in my eyes.
Okay.
And I'm not going to sugarcoat anything to translate it to cater to your feelings.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I understand the path to get better. And I'm not doing anything that's going to put you in any harm or detrimental ways when I teach. So I just try to be as thorough as I can. I do give disclaimers. I mean, at the end of the day, I have kids. I have 4 kids. All of them are almost grown, two young ladies and 2 young men. My reputation speaks for itself, whether you like it or not. I'm a stand-up guy. You see my product and you know I'm only giving love. So when you know my life, when you see my life, not from afar, but from a day-to-day basis, now you know what I stand for. So when I give this, it's not coming from any bad places or anything like that. This is all love. So, that's credibility, and that's just a standard of operations. And, it's all love. Yeah, I coach hard, but I see the results, and I expect people to understand the transformation that happens when you are disciplined in certain ways. And we all have a choice to be disciplined how we want.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that some guys, don't know how to separate at all times. But I just been fortunate, to be able to do the things that I need to do, and it works out. Yeah.
Do your boys play football?
One did. So I just had one graduate this past year. He's his freshman year of college now, but he's not playing any sports. But he did play, and unfortunately, he hurt tore his ACL the first game of his senior season. And, that just kind of didn't work out. But he went on to be valedictorian of high school and all these academic scholarships. So he's halfway through his freshman year and already got 20 credits. So he's
20 credits.
Yes, he's really smart. Trust me.
Wow. Wait, did he get that from mommy or daddy?
I would have said a little bit of both. A little bit of both. The size of the brain might have come from his mom, but the way he puts it in might have came from me.
Hey, when you played for Andy, man, you were always lobbying to get the ball in your hands. How much would you have liked to return kickoffs under today's NFL kickoff format?
Listen, I'll say this, even at that time, and you hate to put it this way, but it was a business at that time. And if I were to return kicks, I could have did it a hell of a job, honestly. But you're not getting any credit for it when you're when I'm a cornerback, guess what I'm getting judged on? Playing cornerback.
That's right. Yep.
So if anything outside of that affects me, then I can't do what I was brought here to do. So I could have returned punts, kicks at a high level. I mean, even the times that I was able to do it in preseasons or whatever, I returned one or two and almost returned a couple more.
Yeah.
So that's just one thing I hate, that I allow business to affect my output for my team, because I've always been that type of electric player to make plays. So I was really handcuffed when I got to the NFL on how I was able to do so, and it just limited that. But yeah, man, listen, we talk about the Hall of Fame. Well, guess what? If I would have did it, maybe I could have made it to the Hall of Fame as well.
And you look at that young man. Yeah, you look at that young man in Colorado, Travis Hunter, man, playing cornerback and wide receiver, both positions at an elite level, man. You said they're going, man, that could have been me.
Well, it could have, and I had opportunities to play both ways in college. Yeah. And, I went to Florida where you had other top guys that you don't necessarily need to. Now, when I say need to, I was still probably better than some of those guys if I played the position.
Yeah.
But that ain't what I was brought in to do.
Right.
So you have to understand that. But even that, he's doing a great job. But he won't be able to do that at the next level. So, it's just what it is. And if he does do that, he's going to see where it affects him in a positive or negative way based on how you get paid. Because at the end of the day, if you want to get paid like top receivers, guess what? You're going to play full-time receiver. If you want to get paid like top corner, guess what? They want you out there for 60 snaps. So, it's just one of those, it's a great thing that he's able to, exemplify his athletic ability like that.
Yeah.
But, it ain't going to matter at the next levels in that sense.
Hey, you just mentioned your alma mater, the University of Florida. They're sitting at 3-2 right now. What's wrong with the program, man? They're not that dominant program like they used to be, man.
You said that key word, which I will address. We're not that dominant like we have been in the previous years.
Right.
And, obviously that's just been in the culture change, just like it is in NFL. You change coaches. Now you got to change the team's identity. You change the type of guys you're bringing in, vice versa. And I don't think we got a culture identity or identified yet, which is part of the problem. But I will say this. We're sitting at 3-2 right now.
Yeah.
And that really puts us as the second best team in the state of Florida right now.
Okay.
University of Miami got a 5-1 record or whatnot. But at the end of the day, as bad as we look, we're still the second best team in Florida right now. So,
oh my goodness.
But obviously, man, I want to see us get back to the standard that we've been operating at for a number of years. We got to get the guys. We got to, just like the NFL, the game is getting softer.
Yeah.
Guys are playing for different reasons now. And I don't think until we get the type of culture that demands a certain style, then it's going to be like this across the table, So, that's just tough to see it that way. But we need to get some of those top guys that can be first rounders. I mean, that's just the way it works. You're not going to win without top guys. And as bad as they think they're recruiting the right guys, obviously they're not. So, we just need to get those guys that can make differences. And until we do, we're going to continue to be the second, third best team in the state.
Well, at least you're ahead of Florida State because they're a hot mess right now.
And I appreciate that. But, but you're right. Just looking at it, going into this year, those guys were slotted, top 5 teams.
Yep.
Obviously behind the way they played last year. But we see guys are soft, man. Like, it's just what it is. And I don't know if we let ratings dictate what we actually see, because I don't know how some of these guys are getting these ratings when they're not producing like that, So, it's just one of those things, man. We got to do a better vetting the player type situation if we want to win, and that's from defensives like in the NFL and, recruiting in college.
Hey, man, what is Lito Sheppard doing nowadays to keep himself busy, man? Business ventures, coaching, what are you doing?
I do a little bit of everything. I'm a self-proclaimed entrepreneur, and I definitely do some real estate here and there. I do a lot of voluntary work with my kids, coaching, and just being around. And I also I'm still connected to what I call a gaming industry, skill games or whatnot. So I definitely am being productive, and I'm just in a phase to where I could be a father. I could maintain and do things without being too stressed.
Well, man, it's so good to hear your voice and to see you again. It's been a long time since we've chatted, man. And you were one of my all-time favorite players. I love talking to you after games and just watching your gameplay, man. And man, more importantly, man, be safe. You and your family be safe with that hurricane coming, man. And please keep in touch, man. Don't be a stranger.
Most definitely. I won't. I definitely try to get up to. I'm in the Philadelphia area all the time. I don't always see a lot of the guys or things of that nature, but I'm up quite a bit. I still have a really huge loving fan base there that shows me a love and appreciation every time I'm there doing things. And it's just, that's what keeps me coming, honestly, just the love and appreciation and just opportunity. I hate to say it, but Philly should be my first home, because that's where the opportunities come, even with you. You see, I'm doing an interview here in Philly. But I live in Jacksonville. But at the end of the day, I appreciate that love where I put that body of work in, and I never take that for granted. But I definitely appreciate you guys, man.
Hey, Lito Sheppard, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for time to talking to me on Gun on One, man. And much success to you in the future.
Thank you. Same here, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. All right, that's going to wrap up this edition of Gun on One for the former first-round pick from 2002 for the Philadelphia Eagles, Lito Sheppard. I'm Derrick Gunn. Until next time, so long, everybody.